Aren't you glad that somebody introduced you to Jesus? My daddy was, Mom, I never knew Dad this way, but Mom says Dad was bad to drink when they were first married. She was 15 and he was 19, and he loved Mom and she loved him, but he loved to hang one on at the end of work on Fridays. And she said, I could tell Billy Joe had been drinking just by hearing the echo of the way the car was revving up as he was shifting gears trying to get back home. I could tell just by the way he revved the engine. Oh boy, he's hung another one on. He never was abusive to Mom. He was never abusive at all. But he met Jesus. Someone noticed a hillbilly from Izard County, Arkansas, and they talked to him about Jesus. They invited Billy Joe, my dad. They invited Billy Joe to go to church out in the country, which Izard County is all country. The biggest town in Izard County was about 1,100 people, and that was if everybody came in on Saturday to do the grocery shopping on the square. But somebody told Daddy about Jesus. He went to church with them by himself because Mom had no interest in going. By this time, my older two brothers were born, and I was about 3. I never knew my dad except anything but a godly man. He got saved that day, came home, and he said, Carol, I accepted Jesus today. I'm going to follow Jesus. And she said, we'll see. She didn't believe it'd stick. She didn't know what his game was, but she thought he was up to something. Now, back in the day, and smoking's still a bad habit, but back in the day, preachers, man, they preached hellfire and brimstone, and if you were a smoker, they might say things like, well, smoking won't send you to hell, it'll just make you smell like you've been there and back, and those kind of remarks. But Dad felt like smoking would be a sin for him if he kept smoking, and so he had a pack of unopened cigarettes that he had in his pocket the day he got saved. And he said to the Lord, if I'm going to follow you, I'm going to quit these cigarettes. You're going to have to help me. And so he didn't say a word to Mom about it. And for 2 weeks, he carried those cigarettes and never opened the pack. He told us as boys later in life, when he was telling us this testimony, he said, I didn't want to have to bum a cigarette from somebody if I broke down and just couldn't stay with my plan. And so he said, I carried the cigarettes in case I couldn't. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, after carrying that pack of cigarettes, he was living for Jesus. Every Sunday he was getting up and going to church, and Mom and we boys, she didn't have anything to do with it. And he would go and come back, and that one day during work, he left the house and got out to the car, and she ran out because he had left his cigarettes laying on a coffee table. She grabbed his cigarettes, ran out to the porch, and said, hey, Bill, you forgot your cigarettes. And he said, no, Carol, I didn't. I quit those about 3 weeks ago. She went back in the house, and he went to work. When he came home that night, the car wasn't revving like he had been drinking. Been that way for 3 weeks. Saturday came, Sunday morning came, Dad got up and was getting around to go to church. And Mom came in and was dressed and ready to go and had 3 little boys dressed and ready to go. And he said, well, Carol, what are you doing? She said, I've decided what's happened to you is real. We're going with you. And the Yancey family was transformed that day because somebody spotted an invisible hillbilly named Billy Joe Yancey. And they said, would you come to church with me? Would you come to the block party with me? You're my friend. I want to hang out with you. I want you to know the same peace and joy and hope that I have. I'm telling you, friends and relatives and associates and neighbors are just waiting for people in the States, the United States, to say to them, there is hope in Jesus, there is life in Jesus, and the same way he transformed a hillbilly 65 years ago is the same way he can transform lives today. Does anybody believe that? If we believe it, let's let our behaviors follow it.